Praise the name of the Lord. Want to give God the praise for today. As you've heard severally through the service, today is the last Sunday in the year 2024. It's a year that started like no other, and it looks like it was going to be coming to an end. And for some of us, at a point, you probably thought you wouldn't survive the year, but God has been there for us. He has watched over us. He has kept us. When we started in the year, we had a theme, soaring like an eagle. I don't know how many of us still remember, how many of us we are checking what the Lord had promised every one of us. This morning I feel to go over that reflections of all that we expected that God would do in us and through us. Every corporate organization goes through appraisal. They look at what did we set out to accomplish at the beginning of the year. What did we eventually accomplish? People that work in different workplaces also have appraisals. And then you look whether you met the expectations that you had set at the beginning of the year. You look at whether you exceeded it. You also look whether there are gaps, there are opportunities. You know, the right word they use down in corporate organization is opportunity. When they say these are the opportunities we have, they're basically telling you these are the shortfalls, shortcomings that we have, areas that we need to focus on so that we can be what God have intended for us to be. Praise the name of the Lord. When we started, we looked at the characteristics of the eagle. It was in February that we took time to look at this. I would say the eagle is swift. The eagle is swift. Swift means it's fast. Eagle is not slow. It's not something that stays in one place and doesn't make the move that it requires to make. The eagle is very swift. And we had a couple of scriptures that we used to and that the scripture describes the eagle. Jeremiah 4 verse 13 was one of them, where he said, behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariot shall be as the whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Acknowledging that the eagles are very swift, but talks about the horses being swifter than the eagles. And Lamentations 4:19 says, our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heavens. Our persecutors, it was a lamentation that the people that are persecuting us, they are swifter than the eagles. So eagle is a bird that is very, very swift. It's not a bird that you see in the sky and you want to start shooting it in the sky, because it moves too quickly before you'll be able to catch up with the eagle. And we were saying that we want to soar like the eagle. We want to be swift. We want to move quickly in the things that we set our hearts to do. And every one of us, we all had different things that we set in our minds to do in 2024. And I expect that everyone will go back to the notebooks that you wrote, particularly on the 31st of December last year. The things that you set out that you want to do in 2024. How swiftly were you able to do them? Are there things that you have slept on? Things that you have procrastinated upon? Things that you have set your mind that you were about to do and you couldn't do them? I remember one in my mind. I was going to take up a class, a course, and I wrote it. I got into their online space. And I guess it's all set up. So they've sent me reminders. Are you going to register? Are you going to register? Are you going to register? And I think the computer got tired of not getting any response from me. So they quit. But I'm still reminding myself that it's still something that I need to do. It's something I set up, not at the beginning of the year, but in the middle of the year, it just sprang up. That is something that I can do to keep the brain busy and not let it die. Deuteronomy 28 verse 49 says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. I'm not looking at the context of Deuteronomy. I'm looking at just the designation of the eagle, that the eagle is a bird that is very, very swift. And God's desire for every one of us in this house is that we will be swift. We will not sleep on our oars. We will not be people that the Lord will say, move, and we're just standing by, not taking the move that He has asked us to do. Eagle is a bird also that renews its strength. In Psalm 103 verse 5, say, who satisfied thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. Eagle gets a time that it renews itself. It sheds off feathers and brings up new feathers. Eagles say they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. That's in Isaiah 40 verse 31. So the eagle renews itself. There's this process called that the eagle does pull out the peak on a rock until it pulls off. And once it pulls off, it goes to hibernate, and it stays until the beak grows up again, gets a new beak, something that is strong. So the eagle renews itself. And many of us, renewal might come in the place of spending time to fast and to pray. It's not waiting till January, and January then you start saying, no, I'm going to have a long fast. We need to renew ourselves on a regular basis throughout the whole year. There's a time that you hide yourself and says, I need to plan. I need to plan for the things I'm going to do the following week. There are times that your head might just be full. And when it is full, you might not reason very well. That all it takes is just to sit back and look at the situation all over again, and then you're able to make the right decision. We need to spend time to renew our strength. We need to spend time to refresh ourselves. People that work in government establishments get vacation, they get leave. A time, some might be just 1 week in a year. You are told to just go and rest. And our civil service was such that you see civil servants that never ever want to go on vacation. There are some incriminating files in their office. They don't want the next in office to see those files. So even when they're on vacation, they lock their office and they're still visiting the office because they don't want the next person to see what's going on. But ultimately, they will get to an age where they will have to retire and they will walk out of that service. But regularly, we are required to refresh ourselves, spend time to study the Word of God. Some, it is early hours of the morning. I've had a minister of the gospel say, it's just give him the early hours of the morning. If you want him to come to work at 10 in the morning and he worked till 10 p.m. for you, he's ready to do it. But allow him those very early hours of the morning. He wants to spend that time to renew himself and get himself prepared for the day and be able to hear the Lord guide him through the day. One of my former supervisors said it during his morning exercise. It might just be taking a walk in the estate where he was living, or it might just be on a treadmill. And as he's in the treadmill, he's receiving message on how the day will play out, what he's going to face when he gets into the office. That's the time that he prepares for them. It's not just waiting to jump into the office and open his email and he see 1,000 emails and you don't know which one do you want to start with and which one you don't want to start with, because he prepares himself ahead of the day. I'm trusting the Lord that we have taken time to renew our strength in this church through the year. The eagle is one also that takes care of the young. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings. The eagle takes care of the young, and it trains the young also. So it's not just having the young and the young is not trained. We've learned how the eagle trains the young, carries the young on itself and allows itself to fly, and then the young will have to struggle to fly while being alone. And all that effort is to ensure that there's a next generation after them. There's someone that takes over after them. One of the biggest challenges we find in businesses in Nigeria is succession plan. You have businesses that it's big, but the moment the person that started it passes away, that business collapses because there's no succession plan. There's no one that you can say this is the leader of that business. There's a company called Bechtel. It's a very big construction company in the US. The people that are leading, you always find the CEO of that company is a Bechtel by name. But the people that are leading that company today are probably in the 4th generation of the man that is Bechtel that started the company. Because they have those plans that as they are growing up, they are bringing in their sons and their daughters into the business. And they're allowing them to grow from the basics. They're allowing them, if he's an engineer, he basically learns as every other engineer in the company, gets promoted. But you know that you are targeting this person for leadership. But by the time the person gets to leadership, he understands the rudiments of the business completely. So it's not like someone that you now throw out that, oh, the father has passed away, and you now make him the CEO of the company. And he has no business, he has no understanding of how that business runs. So you can still see that in the next generation or 2 or 3 generations after now, Bechtel will still remain as a company, still led by one of their children because they have a succession plan. And I ask you, who will succeed you in the things that you're doing? The leader of the choir is out, the deputy is out because of the vacation that we have at the moment. Do we have a succession plan? If your children's department, the teachers are not there, or the first 2 teachers or the first 3 teachers are not there, will the children be all on their own because there's no other person that is groomed to take the leadership? In your family, among your children, you probably have the one that, oh, this is the one that commands everyone in the house. What if that one goes to take an exam on a particular day and the other children are left in the house? Is any of them able to step in and say, this is the way that mommy or daddy would have led us in the house? The ego trains the child, and I want to, or trains the offsprings, and I want to believe that through the year, you have also made efforts in that regard. We do have other things that we spend time to talk about the ego, that it has a very large wingspan, and that large wingspan allows it to float for a very long time while it is hunting. So the eagle can stay in the air for a very long time trying to hunt. And sometimes it's wondering how the eagle can carry animals bigger than the eagle. You can see an eagle hunting an antelope and picking up an antelope, taking antelope to the top of the mountain, slaying the antelope and eating the carcass because of the strength that he has. And the Lord wants us to enlarge our borders. He wants us to enlarge our coast. How much of your coast did you enlarge in 2024? Where did you expand yourself? You know, sometimes you find yourself in social media and you open one page, and from one page you get into the next page you get into the next page, and by the time you're done, an hour is gone. But you ask yourself, how much of scriptures have I taken time to read in 2024? How many books were you able to read in 2024? We had a seminar that we did here about financial breakthrough or financial literacy. I don't know how many of the men that left this place and have gone back again to open those materials that were given to them, to look at them again. How many people have taken actions based on the things that they studied in this place? Or we just learn them, and the day we learn them, we say, oh, beautiful, we had so much fun, and it's all part. And we're not making the move to say, yes, this is where I am today. If you come back tomorrow, you're not going to meet me in the same spot because I would have moved on to the next place. A former MD that had some years back, who always, anytime he had a town hall, you say you need to be wiser today than you were at the beginning of the year. If you're doing the same thing, if you're solving the problem exactly the same way you are solving it in January, that's still the same way you're solving it now, you have not made any improvement in yourself. So the expectation is that I would have been wiser now than I was at the beginning of the year. There are things I'm doing now and I would have improved upon it. I shouldn't be doing the same thing and expecting that the results will improve. If result has to improve, I have to find new methods of doing things, and I have to grow, I have to increase, I have to enlarge my coast. Jabez was someone that called upon the Lord in 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 10. It says, and Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that thou would have blessed me indeed and enlarged my coast, and that thy hand might be with of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thy habitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, strengthen thy stakes. And I'm asking questions. Was there an enlargement? Or all the excuses you gave was the economy was hard, business environment was tough, things were difficult? And I know that in the midst of this, people are still making moves. New companies are being formed, fine tech companies are being formed. Recently, the federal government or CBN decided that they will start leaving OPay and Money Point, because they felt that there's a huge amount of money in OPay and Money Point. So the normal 50 naira, if you receive money into your account with any of the banks, they deduct 50 naira from you as stamp duty. If you transfer money, it's either 10 naira or 28 naira or 53 naira, either of these. But OPay has been doing that freely. So you find that almost every artisan you go to, you ask them what's your account number, they tell you OPay. And just about 2 weeks ago, CBN said they will start leaving them. They will start collecting a part of that money that they're making, because it runs into billions of naira. It might just look like it's 5,000 naira here, it's 1,000 naira here, it's 200 naira here. But by the time you aggregate it together, it's running into billions. And these are fine techs that young people just started on their own. And they are running them, and they are raising money in the millions of dollars to expand their business into Africa. OPay is not just in Nigeria, it has expanded beyond Nigeria. So you need to ask yourself, what share of this will I have? I listened to someone some years back, and the person was talking about the food business in Nigeria. How much food is consumed. If they tell you the number of cows that are killed in Lagos daily, it runs in thousands of cows that are killed in Lagos on a daily basis. And he was asking himself, what percentage of this comes into my own pocket? If Lagos economy is 1 trillion naira daily, what part of that trillion naira comes into my own pocket? Do I just sit back in my room and say things are difficult, things are hard, nothing is moving? And I'm not thinking aloud, how do I become a part of this big economy that we have in Lagos? Let's enlarge the place of our tent. That was a request, one thing the Lord desired of us this year. I might ask ourselves as a church, have we been able to enlarge the place of our tent? Have we spread the curtains of our habitations? Can we say we have improved? We also talked about the eagles, that they have a very good eyesight. An eagle could be in mountain and it can see something that is on the ground. And once it sees it, very quickly it goes out for it. I would say we need to have foresight. We need to see how the market is moving, the trend is moving, how things are moving. We need to understand how they are. You know, Lagos State government tried something, and I'm not sure they've been able to push through it. The plastics that you use in eating food, you know, they outlawed it sometime this year and said it will stop. They won't use it anymore. Any person that is into manufacturing that wants to position himself will go and start making plastics, not plastics anymore. Start making plates that are recyclable. Things that you just, is paper, that once you use it and you dump it somewhere, it rottens on its own. If you have the foresight and you know that that's where it's going, that's where the market is going. When Lagos State government declared a free trade zone in Ibejuleki and said that an airport was going to come to Ibejuleki, a seaport was going to Ibejuleki, Dangote bought land to build refinery, people started positioning themselves. People started purchasing land in the area. A colleague of mine had to say they gathered themselves together, built apartment blocks. And those apartments, they were renting them out when construction was going on for Dangote, and they were renting them out in US dollars. But in the same Lagos, people will be complaining, oh, things are very difficult, things are very hard. But they had a foresight that if they're going to construct that particular place, in fact, there's a place, some building inside this estate that are Chinese people that live in it. If you come late in the evening, sometime you see the luxurious bus bringing them back from Dangote, where they've gone to work, and they live here in the estate. Someone would have built that, someone would have reached out to them, and I don't think they'll be paying naira as their rent in the place. But someone have had that foresight. Someone might say, no, Olokonla, how can you go to work in Dangote refinery and be living in Olokonla? But someone have had that foresight that if you provide them a bus, they can make it happen. What area have you thought that this is where the market is going? What can I do to position myself? A brother shared a story with us, one of the Capro former directors. He was a student at Unijos. He's a brother, he's come to minister to us here. As a student in Unijos, he said one of the days he had a craving for suya. And he walked around the whole campus on Unijos. He couldn't find suya. He had to go outside the campus to go and find a place to buy suya. And after buying the suya, something clicked. I'm not the only one that wants to eat suya on this campus. I couldn't be the only one. And I couldn't find any place to eat suya. So as a student, he established a joint to make suya. So in the morning, he goes for lectures. In the evening, he comes to make suya. And then he said from that suya business, he bought a Volkswagen Beetle car. Brand new Volkswagen car. So Volkswagen was still good in those days. People don't see Volkswagen today. But you and I know how much it costs to buy a brand new car. You're probably looking at 40-50 million naira. Today's cost. He did that as a student out of a business that he saw a need, and he decided to go forward to meet that need. Said he had to sell the business when he had to graduate. He was like, I don't want to graduate out of school, but he had to. So he sold it when he left. So you might find that that could be a thing that you're seeing. Oh, something is going to develop. There's somewhere coming up. If I use an example of Bejuleki, that are doing construction building. Construction is going on there. The people that will do those construction will eat food. They can't go hungry. Food is something that they cannot avoid. So if I station myself knowing that, okay, there are some that go for Maput and they want to eat 500 rand food, but there are some others that don't want to eat 500 rand food. They want to eat something good. Why can't I position myself in that area? The eagle had foresight. I don't know how much foresight you had in 2024, but in case you didn't have any, it's not too late. The Lord is yet able to help us so that we can accomplish the things that He wants us to accomplish in the name of Jesus. When you have foresight, it drives you in what you do. If you have visions of heaven, it guides how you live your life. If you have a vision that, oh, I want to make first class in the university, it drives how you operate in the campus. If the palm wine drinkers club are gyrating throughout the night and you want to have a first class in the university, you probably will not follow them to do it. If you're an engineering student, you won't follow them to do it, because it's like failure is waiting at the door for you. Because there's a vision that you have, there's a dream that you have, and that dream propels you. It guides you in the things that you want to do. If you want to live a different lifestyle, a different will I call it lifestyle now? You want a different standard of living. It guides the affairs. It guides the things that you do. It guides how you act. It guides everything around you. I had the opportunity of trying to purchase a land some years back. It was at Ikorodu. And by the time they took me to the neighborhood, I looked at the neighborhood. I said, no, I don't want to live in this sort of neighborhood. The land was cheap. It was 100,000 naira a plot. But that was so many years ago. It's probably a lot more than that now. But just looking at the neighborhood, I just felt, no, this is not the neighborhood I want to live in. So if I had said, because it was cheap, let me live in it, let me stay within that neighborhood, it would have been counterproductive. I wouldn't have been able to think through on what I want to be. I've had some that say they bought land and somewhere in the mainland is great, but they bought land in a place where in the night their house was the only one that had generator. Every other person around them had no generator. So when armed robbers want to go to a place, it was easy target. They knew where they could go to and they will target them. By the time they had 2-3 visits, they abandoned their house and went and became tenants somewhere else, because they found themselves where it was very easy to pick them out, that you're so different from every other person around you. If you have a vision of what you want to, where you want to be, you will prepare yourself for that place that you want to be. Praise the name of the Lord. But for us to reflect, we want to reflect. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 8 tells us that better is the end of a matter than the beginning thereof. Better is the end of a matter. We have 3 days in 2024, 29, 30, 31st. Anything can still happen within these 3. Somewhere before Ajah or after Ajah, a lot of people were congregating. A young man was on the ground. Possibly a vehicle had hit him this morning. And he must have been preparing for the 31st night. And just before we got to, I think it was at LBS, about 3 vehicles had collided on each other early this morning. And in my mind, those vehicles are going to sleep overnight. They will be there till early January before the owners of those vehicles can use them anymore. But they had in mind that, oh, we have plans on what to do. Some may have been racing, some may be church that they are running to. I don't want to be late for workers' meeting. And they've ended up at that point. So the point I'm trying to make to us is that 3 days is a long time for God to do something in the life of someone. There's no limit to what He can do. There's no limit to what He can institute in our lives. That we can tell the Lord, yes, I may not have had it all perfectly well from the beginning of the year, but I still have these 3 days. If nothing else, I can resolve within these 3 days what next year will be for me, what the following year will be for me. I can make that resolution. I can determine in my heart that master's degree that I've been pushing out for years, that I'm making up my decision that I must commence it. I'm making up that decision that degree that I need to have, that I must go for it. I can't just sit by and wait and think that it's going to be thrown on my laps. That change of career that I've been dreaming, I want to change my career. I need to make the moves today. I can make that decision today. And by tomorrow, I can set things in motion that in 2025, I can apply them. And I'll see that these 3 days have become very fruitful days for me. Job chapter 8 verse 7 said, though your beginning was small, yet your later end will increase abundantly. Though your beginning was small, do not despise the day. It started small. It didn't start big. Yes, he had an uncle that had a lot of money that could stand and support him at the beginning. But we have stories of people everywhere. Cosmas Madoka, if you ever listen to him, just go to YouTube and search for Cosmas Madoka, and you will listen to his own story. He didn't go to school, but he's a billionaire. He has so many people that are accountants, chartered accountants that are working for him. But God gave him some wisdom, gave him some intellect, and he decided that I'm not going to stay just where I am. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to advance in life. He didn't despise that little beginning. I've listened to Otedola, though I had my own doubts. Said he started selling diesel in drums. And eventually he became the baron he is today. So some of us know how things started. But the point is that he's trying to say I started small also. Some people started very little. A young man visited me during the week, and he was telling me how some years back he had 6 million naira and he put it to buy UBA shares. Some years back, 6 million is big money, but he had that sort of money. So he decided to buy UBA shares with it. He says every dividend they pay to him, he reinvested to buy more UBA shares. And he told me that as of today, that was last week when he visited me, that he has about 100 million naira worth of UBA shares. And that this year alone, he has collected about 14 million naira as dividend from UBA. And he's still working. He's earning less than that in his current work. But that's a dividend he's getting from a passive income. He doesn't know how the board of UBA is being run. But every time they declare dividend, that money is paid into his account because of an investment he made so many years ago. He could have consumed that money. He could have bought Ferrari or any of the cars that his age mates are buying at the time. He could have been one of the big boys in Lekki, but he decided to invest it. And today he's reaping those investments that he made years ago. And I want to ask us again, where is thou that little beginning that you have? What are you going to do with it? I had someone that they were going to pay some money, and my counsel, when I sat with her, I said, just behave as though you are not going to get paid this money. Just assume that it's never ever come across your way, and just go and invest it. Put it out in somewhere. 10 years down the road, you'll be glad you did, because you will see that you are going to enjoy the fruit of it because you made that investment. But you might decide that, oh, let me go and buy some good things that people are buying. Let me also show that I have money like every other person is having. And 10 days down the road, you'll be complaining that the government have increased, school fees have increased, this has increased, this one has increased. Say, behave as though that money never ever came into your hands, and live your life as a vase. Some of us get increase in our lives, and immediately our lifestyle changes. If you are living in Awehaya, you say, no, it's no more Awehaya, it's Lekki Phase 1. That's where I'm going to live, because I need to change my lifestyle. And you start facing the pressure that people that live in Lekki Phase 1 face. Praise the name of the Lord. Say, though that beginning was small, yet that later was. Yesterday I was going through our books. I said, despite the economic challenges, what we gave in missions this year is about 16% more than what we gave last year. We could have given excuses and said, oh, dollar has fallen or naira has fallen, so the naira has no value anymore. Oh, we don't have money. Our people are complaining. Our people don't have this. Our people don't have that. But we trusted the Lord. We looked up unto the God, that God is the provider. And that because we have set this vision in our hearts, we can trust him to provide for it. And God was able to provide that for us. And I can say as a church, more than any other year, we have had people giving things voluntarily. Nobody asking them do this. On their own, they went ahead to do it. Some were done anonymously. Oh, I'm doing this. I don't want anybody to know I'm the one doing it. Not because anybody is going to praise them for what they have done, but just they felt in their heart, this is what we want to do. It's the doing of the Lord, it's the mercies of the Lord upon our lives. And we must say, God, we give you praise and we are thankful to you. We have had our brethren obtain new jobs. Years of financial challenges wiped out because of the mercies of the Lord. And we are trusting God for a lot more in 2025. We are trusting God that he will do much more than he did this year. It hasn't all been uhuru, because we have had challenges also. We have had relations here, people that have lost their fathers. Yes, the fathers may be elderly, but they are still fathers. There are still people that you would love to go home to, and you visit with them, you want to meet with them. So there are still very painful things. But we still look at the positive part of it, that people traveled and they came back safely because the Lord led us. The Lord kept every one of us. We have had people that have challenged in their marriages, and we are not ignorant of it. But we are looking up unto the Lord, that God will give us a renewal, and that he will renew such homes, and he will bring back such homes. It's our trust and our confidence that there's nothing too difficult for God to do. And we have people that have had also challenges with their businesses. We're not unmindful of that, but we are still saying, Lord, we looked up to you in 2024, that we will move as quickly as the eagle. You may have shut one door for us so that another door could be open. You may have shut this door. We thought that that was where our future lies, but you shut the door because there was a better future that you had in stock for us. So what we are asking the Lord, whatever thing it is that we think we have lost, let him show forth unto us that the losses were for our gain. Joseph was imprisoned. He went through a lot because of what his brothers led him to. But Joseph said, you planned it for evil, but God meant it for good. God meant it for good. So my prayer is that the things that may have been difficult for any one of us in this house in 2024, let God turn it for good for ourselves. Let it be something that we can look back and say, oh, thank God that this person left my life. Thank God that this staff resigned from my office. Thank God because I lost this opportunity. Thank God I didn't get that promotion. If I had gotten that promotion I was desiring, things would have turned out evil for me. Thank God because the Lord strengthened me. Thank God because the Lord watched over me. We want to go on to pray now. We want to spend the rest of the minutes to talk to the Lord. We have started this morning as workers to appreciate the Lord for what he's done for us. Let's rise up on our feet. We want to pray unto the Lord.